Hey everyone, and welcome to POL SCI 701 Techniques of Political Science Research. In this video, I'm going to talk briefly about the logistics for this semester. So what is the goal of this course? Briefly, this is a graduate level introductory course in political methodology. And so you will learn the nuts and bolts of probability theory, inferential statistics, and statistical programming. So the idea is to discuss the main concepts in probability theory and inference, and learn the tools to conduct your own research project. And this is the first lecture in a sequence in our methods program. So ultimately, this course will prepare you for POL SCI 702, as well as POL SCI 935, where you will learn more advanced methods and applications. So why do we need probability theory and statistical inference in our research? Well, in every type of research project, we ultimately want to learn characteristics of a population that we can't fully observe by itself. So we're trying to learn things about that population from a smaller sample of observations. Okay? And statistical inference and probability helps us making these inferences about the population based on the sample that we have. Okay? So statistical inference is always about learning something about the unknown, about some population that is out there that we can observe, based on what we can observe, which is usually some kind of sample. Okay. So irrespective of your substantive focus and what your background is, research methods and ultimately statistics is incredibly important and will help you in your own projects. So what are you going to learn in this course? First of all, we'll do a lot of hands-on programming using the statistical package R. We'll also use R Markdown and probably a little bit of LaTeX. Those are two environments that will help us communicate our results in our research projects in a reproducible way. And I'm going to talk more about these later throughout the semester. Of course, we will learn some basic concepts of probability theory, as well as statistical inference. Later in the semester, we'll also introduce linear regression, OLS, and we'll talk a good deal about data visualization. So how do we communicate our results in, for example, a research paper? When it comes to the textbook and other material, there's a lot of information on Canvas already, but I just want to highlight a few key points. The textbook that we're going to use is EMI, Quantitative Social Science and Introduction. So I hope you already ordered this book. If you don't, contact me and we'll figure something out for the first couple of weeks. But there are also a lot of additional resources. The first thing, which is actually a required reading for this week, is the Plain Person's Guide to Plain Text Social Science. And I'm just going to click on this here. This is an online resource that you can just access. It's also linked on Canvas. And this is basically a short text that provides some initial guidance regarding how you can kind of organize your research workflow. Okay? And there are a couple of really useful tips in there, and there are a couple of things that you can kind of glance over for now. The useful things that I want you to focus on is how we think about creating reproducible work using a text editor. In this case, the author is talking a lot about Emacs, which you don't need to focus on so much because we're going to use our studio. But the author is talking about that as well a little bit. In that guide, there's also some discussion of Git and version control, and you can skip over that. But overall, give it a read and kind of get an idea of how we, like in the future, will organize our workflow to make it both reproducible and easy to communicate our results or share our results with others. Okay. Another thing to focus on is the section on knit-r and R Markdown, because we're going to talk about that as well. Okay. There are a couple of other resources that we will use throughout the semester. There's the Math Prefresher for Political Scientists, which is based on a math intro course at Harvard University in the Political Science department there. And we're going to talk about some of the concepts covered there. And it's also linked on Canvas. So this is a resource that you have available to you as well. There are two other books that are available online as well that we're going to use later in the semester. One is Wickham and Grollmund are for data science, and then we have a book on data visualization. About those two books I will talk at the end, towards the end of the semester. So a couple more housekeeping things. So what are the main activities of this course? How is this course going to work? So this is a hybrid class. And as I said in the beginning, the goal is to discuss the main concepts and learn the tools to conduct your own research projects. So how are we going to do this? Well, the first thing for you to do is to complete the weekly readings. Most of them will be in the textbook, but there will be some additional resources, for example, for this week. Then I will post weekly lecture videos, and the idea is that I post these videos always at the beginning of the week, usually on a Tuesday, and then you have a week to watch those videos, do the readings, do potential assignments, and then we have a Q&A session every Monday, where you can ask any questions you might have about both the readings or the content of the lecture videos. Okay. How does the grading, or I should say the Q&A sessions are going to be face-to-face, so you can come to our assigned lecture room. But we will also be there will also be the possibility to join in remotely. So you're not required to come to campus. You can join the Q&A session remotely via Blackboard, via Canvas's Collaborate Ultra. How does the grading work? The main thing for you, the main task will be to complete weekly problem sets, which will contain coding challenges and some statistics questions. Overall, there will be 12 problem sets, but I will only grade or kind of include the highest 10 grades in your final grade. So that's 60% of your total grade. And then there will be a final exam, which will look similar to the problem sets. It's going to be a take-home exam. Again, it's going to be some coding challenges, some conceptual questions. But the difference is, in the weekly problem sets, I really encourage you to work together, to talk about the problem, to share your code with each other, to try to find a solution together. Each one of you has to submit an individual solution to the problem, but you can collaborate. In the final exam, you're not allowed to collaborate. So you have a problem, it's a little bit longer than the weekly problem sets, and you're going to have to work on it by yourself. And then the last point, 10%, is class participation. So even though this is a hybrid course and a lot of interaction is going to happen online, we'll have a discussion board on Canvas, and we'll have our Q&A sessions. And so I hope that we all kind of actively participate in this course. And so part of your final grade will be how actively you engage in this course as well. Overall, what is the style of this course? What am I looking for? So I know this is a weird time, and classes are different, and it's not face-to-face in the way we usually are used to having classes. But I nevertheless want this class to be as active and collaborative as possible, even if it's through online interactions. And of course, while we're working together, I want to remind you to be as supportive and constructively critical as possible. So we will talk a lot about each other's work, we'll talk about problems that we'll have, and we'll try to help each other in the most supportive and constructive way possible. So going forward, what should you do if you have any questions? The first forum for you to answer or ask any questions and find answers is, of course, the Q&A sessions every Monday. If it's more pressing, or if it's something, to work on an assignment, there's always also the Canvas discussion board where you can post substantive or administrative questions right away. Or if you want personal office hours, or if some other question, you can always email me or email Yunhee, and we can either directly respond by email. Usually I respond within a day. Or we can set up an online remote office hour as well. Okay, so that was a lot of housekeeping. Now, if you're wondering what should I do next before we get started next Monday, there are a couple of things you can do. Oops, this was a little bit too quick. The first thing, as I mentioned, is to read the Plain Person's Guide to Plain Text Social Science. And again, focus a little bit on the overall idea, to think about how you can organize your own workflow when it comes to research projects. And especially focus on the sections on Markdown, and in general on using the idea of using text editors to create reproducible work. And we'll talk more in more detail about this next week, next session. The second thing I want you to do is to set up your RStudio Cloud account and join our shared workspace. And the link for that is on Canvas. So what is RStudio Cloud? So I mentioned in the beginning that R will be the programming language, the statistical programming language that we will use throughout this course. And RStudio Cloud is an online platform that allows us to directly share, or that allows me to directly share code with you, and also check code that you're working on, for example, when it comes to assignments and things like that. So this is the RStudio Cloud website, and essentially what it provides you with is an online remote access to an RStudio environment. Okay. So if you create an account and log in, I already created the account, and if you follow the link on Canvas, you'll be able to join our shared workspace, POL SCI 701. And this shared workspace right now has no projects, but throughout the semester, I will share for each week code and data sets and assignments that you can then directly access and copy and run as well. Again, we're going to talk more about this next week when we actually have some first code to try out. Then, after you've set up your account, the other thing you can do is work through the RStudio Cloud primers. Specifically, there's one set of primer called the Basics. And this is a nice little overview. If you're completely new to R or statistical programming, this will get you up to speed with the basics of the R programming language and how we create basic plots using R. These are short little introductions that are interactive that you can go through, where you learn some basics in programming. All right. Another thing that you can do is you can introduce yourself to the rest of the class on our Canvas discussion board. So we'll start the conversation there. Oops. And in general, please check Canvas regularly for more information and updates about the course and material. And so maybe I'll just use this opportunity to look at our Canvas website real quick. And so the way this is organized is that you have a bunch of course information up here, syllabus, and so on. Please take a look at the syllabus as well if you haven't done so already. And then the modules are organized by essentially by week. So this is September 14th, course logistics. So this means that you should work through the material that is in that module by like in a way that you saw all the material by September 14th. So you're ready for the Q&A session that we'll have on that Monday. Okay. There's a little to-do list and some links, and I will post the lecture video right here. The next couple of weeks will, slowly, iteratively, I will add the content there as well. What we also have is a discussion board where you'll see a little thread where you can introduce yourself to the rest of the class. Okay. So please go to check out Canvas, check out the course website, and check out the information that is available there. And again, for any new information that might come up in the next couple days and weeks. All right. Lastly, I told you that we will use RStudio Cloud for most of the assignments and to share code. But ultimately, in the long run, RStudio Cloud will not be the environment that you will use, for your own research projects going forward. What you will ultimately do is install R and RStudio on your local computer and run your analysis on your computer itself. Okay. And in order to be able to do that, you need to install both the R terminal as well as RStudio. Okay. I included some links here in the slides. The slides will also be uploaded on Canvas. And so if you want to get started on that, you can install those as well. But again, in the beginning of this class, at least, we will just work in RStudio Cloud and go from there. All right, that's all for the overview. Welcome to POL SCI 701. I'm really glad that you're here, and I'm excited for the semester to finally start. And I'll see you on Monday.